My paper looks at the political determinants of economic growth. That's a very important question to ask because we see very different living standards between developing and developing countries, and even within developing countries, we see very big differences between East Asian and other current parts of the world. So, what I try and understand is that the difference we see in economic growth can be related to political institutions, and also the kind of growth we see in developing countries, to what extent that can actually be explained by normal arguments or theories on political institutions. The kind of growth we see in developing countries is essentially a boom and bust growth. When economic growth occurs, positive growth for some time before it starts decelerating. We call this acceleration deceleration episodes. So, in my paper, I try and understand what explains this acceleration and deceleration episodes. And I want to try and understand the role of democracy and autocracy in explaining that. And I wanted to challenge that kind of finding by making the argument that when we start looking at growth in terms of acceleration and decelerations, it's not so obvious. And I find that autocratic regimes actually see the largest increases in growth in an acceleration episode, but also they see the largest decreases in growth or incomes in a deceleration episode. So, in fact, autocratic regimes see the extremes, very large growth episodes, growth booms, and very large busts. And democratic regimes actually have upper bounds and lower bounds in that they don't see such significant booms and such significant busts. I find that democracy helps in reducing the growth collapse. So you're less likely to see a large fall in income if in a democratic regime versus an autocratic regime. But democracy does not get you very far in a growth boom. This is important that we need to then understand the implications of this. We should not expect democratic regimes to outperform autocratic regimes in acceleration episodes. But perhaps what we can take from our results is that in deceleration episodes, when income is falling, democratic regimes seem to see smaller falls in income versus autocratic regimes. And that's something that is important to keep in mind.